Okay. Good morning. My name is Mackenzie Zimmerman, and this training that we're going to be talking about today, we're going to go over school enrichment and specifically how to put that in pairs. So that way those numbers can be pulled at the end of the year, and you also have record of them for yourselves. Also at the end, there will be an option for questions. I don't expect this to take a full hour. I want to make sure that your time is used wisely. And then so if you have questions, you can put them in the chat during the thing. I'll try to answer them as I can. If not, you can wait till the end and we can chat about anything that you might have questions on. But the bulk of today is we're going to walk through adding a program activity for school enrichment in pairs. And so that's what the majority of this will be focused on. Um, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's do this. Share screen. Okay. Okay. So again, welcome. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it. And again, this is going to be recorded, so I'll post it in Teams either today or tomorrow, so people can access it and have access to this information. But we're going to be talking about reporting school enrichment today. Also, I made this with Canva. This is the first time I've made a PowerPoint with Canva. I kind of got carried away, so it was just really fun. Okay, so today I wanted to give everybody an agenda kind of to help you understand where we're going. The first thing we're going to talk about what is school enrichment and why it's important, how and where to report school enrichment, and then why it's important to report, and then you'll have an option at the end to answer, not to answer, to ask any questions that you may have. And I think those are out of order. Sorry. Okay, so what is school enrichment? I'm sure the people on this call have varying experience with school enrichment, but at its foundation, it is learning experiences in cooperation with educational entities. So schools that could be public schools, private schools, home schools. I'm sorry, I'm omitting people as they come in, and there's just lots of benefits to school enrichment, and there's lots of different ways to make that happen. And we're not going to get too in depth on how that process of how to get into the school today. I do have a wonderful resource for you that I can share on like the steps on what's the first thing that you do? How do you contact your school? How do you contact your schools? How do you get in with those? How do you make those connections? And it's fantastic, and I want that to be shared with everybody so that way you have it. But basically the foundation of school enrichment is these sequential learning opportunities for people, for young people in school. And they don't have to be 4-Hers to participate in school enrichment, which is one of the wonderful benefits of this type of programming. They can be 4-Hers, they don't have to be. But so why is this type of programming important? It is so you have our young people who learn very specific things in school, and our school enrichment programming has the opportunity to enhance the formal education that they receive. You can build relationships between our 4-H programming and these educational entities in your community, and those relationships will just continue to grow over time. And then we are providing the students with really unique opportunities that they otherwise would not experience. So a really good example is some of the summer programming that the summer engagement grants can be doing, CHIF. That is healthy choices, healthy eating that young people might not be getting in a school setting. And so it is a very unique opportunity for our youth members for our youth in the state to have. And also it's a wonderful way to promote the benefits of 4-H and to use it as a recruiting platform to get our young people into our 4-H system here in the state, if it's something that they would enjoy. And school enrichment can be done lots of different ways, but typically you have multiple sessions is what I've been finding out about school enrichment. So whether that's 6 weeks or 3 weeks, most of the time you want that repetitive programming to have that sink in for the young people that you're reaching out to. Also, sorry, I've got a cold. Let me just make sure that I don't have any. Okay. And then so the bulk of today is going to be reporting and how we do reporting for school enrichment. And I just wanted to touch on why it is important to report. I know I talk about this a lot, but I do believe it's important. So there's 3 main reasons why reporting, not just school enrichment, but reporting all of your activities and your programming is important. One, it's to know who we are currently serving and who we are not serving. And we get that by capturing that data, that demographic data, because we want to make sure that our efforts are as widespread as possible and that we are targeting all different types of groups of people. So good example is maybe you've done programming for just older youth. Your data would show you that, and that would be an indication to you that maybe we need to find a curriculum that's suitable for our younger youth as well. And so that from that data is how you would know I need to make some changes. It helps us to know that we are serving older kids, but maybe not the younger kids. And that goes for demographics as well. Maybe we're serving more females than we are males, or we're not reaching our LGBT community or, our Asian American community. And so it just allows us to see where our strengths are and our deficits. And that kind of goes into number 2. It allows us to see our areas of strength. So if we're looking at data that is pulled from PEARS for school enrichment, and we're seeing that we are really hitting STEM programming in school enrichment. Super, that's amazing. But then we're looking at the data and we see maybe we haven't been hitting like leadership or communication. That allows us to make appropriate changes and modifications for the next program year, to help us kind of even out that playing field a little bit. And you guys know your communities better than anybody. And if STEM is their jam, cool, but maybe adding in something different would also help them. But it allows us to see our areas of strength and our potential areas of where we have gaps in programming and curriculum. And then this third one is more of a higher level of reasoning, is so that way we can take this data to share with our families. For like a really good example is to share with them, like, this is all that your kid has learned in this past program year. Like, look at all that they've done, or this is what your your classroom has learned over a 6-week period. That's amazing. We can see growth. How cool is that for someone to be able to share, like, I have learned XYZ over the course of 6 weeks this summer. And you can share that with their guardians, their families, their teachers even, so that's like level 1, sharing with the family, sharing with the members. And then we have our data that we take and we use it at our regional and state levels and national levels to show our progress as Kansas 4-H. I'm going to mute myself because I have to cough, excuse me. And this data we take and we do stuff with it every year. And the reason why this school enrichment training was suggested is because when we were pulling school enrichment numbers for this past year, it was incredibly low compared to what I even know everybody is doing out in their counties. I know that you all are in there. I know that, you know that, but our numbers aren't reflective of that. And that does not allow us to secure more funding. That does not allow us to secure specific partnerships or grants. And so our numbers need to be as reflective as our actions as possible, so that way we can kind of brag about our program. I know how much school enrichment we do. I know how much we reach our youth, and our numbers need to reflect how awesome we are. And so that is why this training was suggested. Oh, I just have to click. Okay, before we get into adding program activities, are there any questions? I'm not seeing anything. Okay, and if there are, just pop them in the chat. I think my little thing pops down if somebody has a question. Okay, I'm going to stop my share and we're going to go to pairs. I guess I should probably just go to the, I have an idea. Okay, share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see Google? Can somebody let me know if they can see Google?
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Okay, so to get to pairs, there's lots of ways to do this. I use it all the time, so I've got it saved on my thingies. The website is pairs.io, but there's lots of different ways to get there. You can type in pairs K-State and it will take you, the first result is pairs. And then I think you can log in from here as well. I'm just kidding. Maybe that's not what I'm looking for. Thought you could. Oh, here you go. There we go. I'm sorry. I was the link down. So when you sign into pairs, this is everyone's homepage is going to look totally different based on your permissions, based on what you input, all that stuff. But this is what mine looks like. And what we're going to do is, so let's say I just finished a 3-week program with 4th graders at an elementary school. And we talked about, let's say we did some sort of, I'll just use STEM, some sort of STEM activity. And we talked about the weather. Let's just say that's what we did. And it was considered a school enrichment based off of the definition that we have. So how do we report that? First of all, you can start your pairs program activity. Oh, somebody's here. Before your program even starts to get it set up. So that way at the end, all you have to go do is go back and input your information. So you can add your name, your collaborators, all that fun stuff before. So that way you've kind of got that pre-work done. And then at the end, you just go and add your demographics. That's one way you can do it. Another way is to gather everything and input it at the end. That's how my brain operates the best. And so I tend to put everything in after it's all been completed and I've got all my ducks in a row. And so when you're preparing to, if you know you're doing a program and you know you're going to be reporting it into pairs, some of the things that you need to have, and we'll go through this, demographics. That's important just to know who we're reaching and the different boxes that they fit in. And then just information like the location of your program, the title of your program, the basic stuff. And then if you have an evaluation, we'll go through adding an evaluation, and if you don't have an evaluation, you just skip that step. If you have evaluations, you're going to do that. Having all of that information prepared and ahead of time will be really helpful for your program activity. So let's say you're done, cool, it went great, and you're ready to report your program. So for this specific example, we met with the same 4th grade class 3 times. So with that, we're going to go track program activities. And then this is what mine looks like. And you should have a list of all the stuff that you've input over the last, whatever you have filtered out here. And then you can go to add here in the corner. And then this software is pretty, what I like about it is a lot of it is a drop down, so you can scroll through and pick what you need to. But you also do have flexibility to add things and make it your own. So program activity name, this, I think, if you're going to take anything out of this session, is a very detailed program activity name. And the reason for that is when we go to pull data at the end of the year, there's different ways to filter through that data. And one of the ways is through program activity names. And so if you know you're doing summer engagement programming, tag that onto the end of your name. If you know it's school enrichment, tag that into the end of the activity name. Same thing with like camps. If it's a day camp, say STEM, Kansas State University, Umberger Hall day camp. So that way that information is easily pulled. And it also helps you organize, in my opinion, organize your program activities a little bit easier. So that way you can go through, be like, hey, this is exactly what the data I need to pull, download it, run your report. So we will go ahead and name our program activity. I'm going to do STEM, weather activity. We did it in Manhattan, Kansas, Umberger Hall, and this is school enrichment. So that's just an example of one way you can name your program activity. And then you've got your name, cool, nice and detailed. You're going to come down here to program areas, and this will be different based on what program that you've done. So for STEM, we're going to select, I don't know, we're just going to do youth development. And I mean, just for the purposes of this, you can select more than one. So I'll just hit natural resources. So we've got both, and it is very important that you select youth development if you did the programming with youth, because all youth interactions with extension should be housed under youth development as well. So this should always be a staple in the program activities that you are inputting. Program group, this is more so for like the summer engagement, but let's say this was part of your summer engagement, you can click Kansas 4-H summer engagement. You don't have to if it wasn't. And also this is not a requirement. So you could select water conservation, wildlife, grassland forestry. I'm not going to select one just for the purpose of this because it doesn't quite fit in any of those. And then action plans. Every programming opportunity should tie back to some sort of action plan, whether that's like a PFT action plan, a state action plan, and it could be youth development, it could be another one, natural resources if they have one, but this is a requirement, and we need to make sure that we are linking to those as well. So we talked about STEM and weather. So just for this, we will select the positive 4-H youth development action plan. And you can select, I think you can select multiple. So we'll just do these for an example. But whatever you think fits, whatever action plan fits, go ahead and put it in there. So that way we have those tied and we can see how many programming opportunities our state did per action plan. So that's pretty cool. And then the rest of this is just kind of fill in. So methods used to deliver, we're going to do in person. And this is the sessions area is where I feel like a lot of people have questions. So for this example, we did the same, we were in the same classroom with the same group of fourth graders. Okay, so Haley asked, can you help determine the action plan? Because I was always told to choose not linked to an action plan. Oh, okay. I did not know that you were told that. Can you kind of explain a little more? Like, are you asking me to help you choose which action plan to pick?
Yeah, I think so, because
Okay.
like my agent, well, at the point she was agent slash director, I was like, what do I do? Because I'd never done anything with PEARS before, and it was like literally the day before they're due, and I had to go put all of this in. So I was like, she was like, oh, don't choose an action plan and never choose one, because there isn't anything that links my programs to an action plan. I was like, okay.
Okay. So that, I guess it also just depends on, well, honestly, every program that you do should link back to this positive youth development action plan, because that's what we're all trying to do, right? So if you need a default action plan with your youth programming, that would be what I would select. And we do look at those numbers, what's linked back to the action plan. If you want to chat one-on-one and we can kind of talk about why your director might have said that, we can, because I'm not sure who has been told that, if it's just Haley or if there's other people. But all of our programming should have a purpose, and that's where those action plans come in. Like, we don't want to just willy-nilly do something because we think it's fun, although it might be totally fun. We want it to link back to, here's our plan, here's our purpose, here's our bigger picture, and this is why we're doing that. So for default, you can always link back to that positive youth development action plan. Did I answer your question? If not, we can chat
Yeah,
one-on-one.
no, that works.
Okay.
I am very blind with anything that has to do with school enrichment. I was basically thrust
Yeah.
into this. Nobody in my office knew anything about my job. I'm going off of the two people before me,
Okay.
the notes that were left. So yeah, if we could talk, because there's a
Sure.
lot of questions that I'm having that you're talking about. So
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can totally do that. Oh, and then Nora said, I agree with that, Mackenzie. The state PYD action plan is a great catch-all. We have copied that plan to be our catch-all for our entire district, but linking to that state plan is an excellent option. Thank you, Nora. So it's our purpose. It's our link to show that what we're doing is purposeful and thought out. So Haley, if you will send me an email and we can get something scheduled. Otherwise, I will not remember it if I don't write it down. Okay. Oh, I like the little thumbs up. Okay. And then so for sessions, for this example, 4th grade class, we met 3 times with the same 4th graders. Cool. That makes this easier. So the difference between that's probably not the way to say this. So for our example, we've got the same kids 3 times. Cool, wonderful. There will be times when you are in the Umberger school, you know, and you're doing the same programming, but you are doing it to different classes. So let's say one week you did it to the 5th graders, one week you did it for the 1st graders, and then the last week you did it for the 3rd graders. Each time your audience changes like that, that is a new program activity. And the reason for that is because the demographics are going to be totally different. And you learn different things at those different ages. And so we want to make sure that if you had an evaluation, you capture those different things and in those different categories, you know, those different action plans. So, but for this sake, we planned it well and we did the same class 3 times. So we're just going to put in our start date. I'm just going to pick random dates, start time. We'll just do, and obviously you will know all of this real information. I will not. And we'll do 60 minutes. Yes, I have a chat. Okay, how would you add the sessions if programs are a drop off and pick up after 4-ish weeks? I rarely go into schools unless they ask me to come speak to them. I wonder if that would be categorized as a different thing, because that kind of sounds like it would be more of a day camp than necessarily school enrichment. But the basis of how we report this would be similar. And I think I have a resource on how to add day camps, and that answers some of those questions. Let me write that down. I think I have that and I can send it to you. It's just tweaks here and there based on the type of programming that you're doing. Day camp, Haley, Kelly. Okay, and I will send that to you. It also depends on how you gather your demographics, but okay, so we've got 60 minutes. Let's say, I don't know the average size of a class, 20. Okay, and then it wasn't virtual. And then right here, we've got our little plus button. This is where we're going to add each of those sessions. So we did it April 5th. We're going to do it April 20th, same time, 2:00 p.m., same length, same number of participants. Also, if it varies by 1 or 2, that's totally fine. We get it, kids are sick. And then our last session was May 4th. Same time, 2 And this one was, we'll do 70 minutes because we had a goodbye or something. And let's say we had 18 participants. Let's do 20. Okay. And then we've got all of our starts, our start dates, times, all that. Cool. We're good with that. Then we go to our delivery site. A lot of the times the schools that you're going to are probably already going to be in here if you've had that relationship built with them. If not, you can always add the delivery site. But just for this, I'm going to add, I think XYZ community. Okay, XYZ elementary school. We're going to do that. Okay, and so it should pop up. If not, you have an option to add it, I think. If you type it in and it doesn't register, you'll have an option to add it. Okay, and then your unit. This is very important. So that way your data goes back to you and you get that credit. So for this example, we're just going to do Kansas State, but you could do whatever county district you're in. And we're going to put that in there. Languages, most of the time mine just stays English. And then this is a very important question. Did this program activity deliver any programming to youth? Yes. If you don't hit that, questions later on about youth numbers and information will not pop up. So that's very important to make sure you add. It's up to you whether you want to add your volunteers. Not required. You don't have to. Comments. This is used for lots of different things. A good example is sometimes, let's see, you have a certain population of people that did not want to provide any sort of demographic or identifying information. And that's totally fine. That's their choice. We do not require demographics. We are required to ask if they are willing to submit those numbers. And if not, cool, there's nothing we can do about that. But if you have the majority of your group says, hey, I'm not doing this for XYZ, that would be a wonderful thing to put here in the comments. Say, hey, demographics, was asked for. Here's the reason why it wasn't captured. And this can really be a spot for whatever kind of comments you want to put in there. It's just, and those comments can be really helpful in understanding why you have some data, why you don't. So use that how you will, and use it if please use it. I don't think it's used enough. And then here, file attachments. If you've got a picture and you've got consent from the people within the picture to, that it can be published or used, add it. It's really cool to see the pictures from events in program activities because it helps you understand what they did and why it was important. And so if you've got pictures, you can add them there. This is not where evaluations are added. That's later on. If you had any sort of handouts like an info sheet, infographic, PowerPoint, whatever, you can add this here as well. But for now, let me add a file. Logos. We're adding the Clover. Okay. Boom. And then it'll show up and you can add as many as you need to, and we'll put a comment here. And just to have one for that. Okay, and then we are going to save and continue. Something really cool about PEARS is you can save and come back to it later, like I mentioned in the beginning, or you can, just power through it. Files uploading. Cool. And then we're going to go, and it also tells you progress here. Next is your collaborators. You can add a collaborator if you want to. Just know, excuse me, I'm going to mute myself again. Sorry. Just know that the collaborator will be able to see and edit, depending on what permissions you give them. But that data is still going to be recorded for you. So let me add a collaborator. Let's see who we can get in here. Can I add Nora? I'm going to add Nora. Okay. This user was involved in performing the work described in this record. Yeah, we did it together. I'm going to let her have view and edit access. This is not a requirement. You can put stuff in there if you want to. Same with this number of sessions that they helped out with. She did too. And so once this is all good and grand, Nora will be able to see this. So we're going to save and continue. And then here is our youth programming. So if you did not select yes to that question earlier, this would not pop up. So our delivery mode, this is very, very important. Kate asked, would you add a program assistant or program manager as a collaborator? Sure, you totally can. I would recommend, if in any instance where you can add a collaborator, do so, because if you leave the organization for whatever reason and your collaborator is still there, they can still see that. And so it's always good to have somebody attached to your program activities. Great question. You can also add, I don't know how your directors in your units, like, I don't know what their processes are, but if they want to be added to see all that stuff, do it, go for it. But you can add whomever. You can add me if you want to. Hey, Nora said, yes, we do. Add your directors. Okay. So here
Oh, I
is,
didn't mean director, but I meant
oh,
program assistants. But I
yes,
think you might have to work with Lori Chandler to have those program coordinators
added.
added to PEARS so that you can find them, because you have to find the name. And so
Yeah.
you just need to email Lori Chandler and just say that we need Nora Rhodes, a program assistant in Post Rock District, to be added with access to the Post Rock District Youth Development Action Plan, or
Yeah.
or to, whatever degree it is. But it's fabulous to add those collaborators.
Yeah. Thank you, Nora. And Lori is super fast on doing that. So if you know that you've got somebody brand new coming, that's like one of the first things that you should probably get them access to. Haley asked, as the PA, that is the only person that does school enrichment, I add my agent so she can see. Perfect. That's a wonderful example as well. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, delivery mode. Lots of options, but we're going to come down here. School enrichment. Add that, please. That also is a way for us to pull the data so we can know what we're doing in terms of school enrichment. Add the delivery mode. Okay, project areas. This is, again, whatever kind of programming you're doing. Add what it is, earth science. We'll do that. We did STEM. Cool. Okay. You can add your adult volunteers. You don't have to. Same with youth volunteers. It's totally up to you if you want to add that. Obviously, more data is welcome, and we love it. Well, I love it. If you don't add it, not the end of the world. Okay. Here, 4-H enrollment status and service. This is new. And let me see, I should have pulled up that. I will have to share with you the language that Lori and I came up with on if you don't know their enrollment status, there's you should put it in a certain spot. And I'm sorry that I don't have that pulled up, but I will send it out to everybody who attended. And I'll put it in Teams and I'll send it out on the 4-H listserv. Oh, somebody's joining. Because you're not going to have this all the time. And we know that. Oh, Nora said, oh, somebody else is coming. Nora said, I have an office professional who has access to PEARS in my 4-H youth development action plans, and she inputs the data on my behalf and then lists us as a collaborator, and she lists her role as data clerk. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great example on how to use that collaborator option in PEARS. Thank you, Nora. But we know that you're not always going to have the correct data, and we get that, especially if it's something like if it was a program that was put together within a week. We know that you may not have created a registration, or you didn't, you forgot to print out the demographic forms, but just so everybody's on the same page, we are no longer allowed to do spot demographics. So what that means is we cannot make assumptions on someone's demographics just by the way they look anymore, that we used to, but that was a change from NIFA. And so it is, they require us to at least ask for demographics. If not, there's nothing we can do about that. So if you do not get demographics, putting that in that comment section is going to be absolutely essential. And if you get partial demographics, you can put those in the comment section as well. But we also have new spots for unknown. And although this is really helpful, if you can get demographics, please do, because yes, we're very thankful for the programming that you're doing, but if we don't know who we're serving, it makes it hard for us to make improvements and changes. But let's say you've got, how many did we say were in this program? 20? Let's say you've got 15 girls, it filled out, you've got 15 females filled it out, you've got 3 males that filled it out, so that's 18, and then 2 of them didn't. So you just don't know? 2. And now we've got our 20. So this is how you kind of combat some of that unknown demographic data. And then we're just going to go through, they were all 4th graders. That makes my life easy. Ethnicity, again, we've got, oh, comment. Yes. Oh, Chandra. Hi, Chandra. Yes. Wonderful suggestion. Since these, she said, since these are school programs we were talking about, we can get classroom demographics from the Kansas Department of Education if you don't want to ask the school each time. Also, I've heard that people are, if you happen to ask the teacher, they're most of the time they're pretty willing to give demographics for their classrooms as well. So thank you, Chandra, for sharing that. Let's do ethnicity. We had 2 Hispanic, and we had, how many did we have? Let's just make this even. We had 3, for the sake of math is hard for me, and then 15. And then we've got unknown as 2. And if these total numbers don't match up, the system's going to yell at you, but you can always go and fix it. And they all are going to live in a town just to make things easier. Oh, just kidding. We're going to do this. And then we have 2 unknown, not 52. Okay. Same thing with race. We're going to go 18 and then just kidding. Okay. And then also we've got demographic forms on the web that fit this to a T that you can print off and use if that's the way you choose to go about your demographics. Save and continue. Why does it do? And see, this is what happens. Okay. And I'll get you the thing. It never fails. I'm just talking now. It never fails that PEARS tells me I did something wrong. Okay, so yay, everything matched. We got to move on. And this is where we can add our evaluation. So we are going to do that for just a second. I'm not going to go in and actually add the data for the evaluations. I'm just going to show you how to add it. At a later training in June, we're talking about PEARS program activities. We'll go through all of that. That'll be a longer training. Okay, yes, we did. And then we can come here to attach survey. And if you have a survey that you know is already in PEARS, like you've used it before, it should populate. If your evaluation is not in here, contact Lori and she can have it added to the system, which is super cool. That way you can continue to use it over and over again. So we're just going to pick one of these. Let's do this. Sorry, I know this has nothing to do with STEM, but just for the purpose of this. So for this survey, it was only a post survey, and so maybe that's all that your programming used, and that's totally cool. You don't have to have a pre, you don't have to have a post. You can do one at the end. It doesn't. It's whatever your curriculum has designed for an evaluation. So this did a post. The day we did it was the 4th. We have a chat. If we are beginning to use a Qualtrics survey for feedback, this is where we would add that, or is there a specific survey from PEARS? This is, so like if you were to download your evaluation survey from Qualtrics, this is where you would upload it. If that, you don't have to use a specific survey from PEARS unless the curriculum you're using, already has an established evaluation. Then you can have it added to PEARS, but this is where you would add your Qualtrics survey feedback. Evaluation feedback. Okay, I'm going to keep the name. You're welcome. Okay, save. And then it pops it up here at the bottom. And just so everybody's aware, this is right here is where you're going to input your data. You can choose to aggregate your data or put in individual responses. When you aggregate your data, what that means is, so let's say we had 20 people, and it was a 5-question survey. So that means 20 people answered question 1, 20 people answered question 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means you would just put in 20 answers for question 1, one number for question 1, one number for question 2 on how they answered it. That way you don't have to individually add each evaluation. But whatever floats your boat on that is what you can do. I don't have a preference. You do get a little bit more intricate information with individual responses other than aggregate, but whatever floats your boat. And then this is where you would enter your response data. And it pulls up the survey that's evaluation there, and you can insert that information. You can edit it. It just pulls up what we just did. Linking, public link to have participants fill out the survey. That kind of gets a little tricky. We can talk about that later if that's something you're interested in doing. Save and continue. Demographics. It's always a good rule of thumb to check to make sure that your numbers match. If they match, fantastic. Use this auto calculate button. It makes your life easier. Yes, auto calculate. It pulls everything from what you did on the previous page into this page. Perfect. Give it a good looks over. Looks great. Okay. Save and continue. And then that's it. And then you're done. And then you can mark it as complete. Just for the purpose of this, I will mark it as complete and then delete it, Nora, so it's not on your thing. And then we can return to our program activity list. And then we've got our weather activity for STEM. And so when I go to pull data on school enrichment, I'm going to be able to see this one because of 2 reasons. One, if I just search school enrichment in the program titles, it's going to pop up. 2, we selected that delivery mode and we can filter by delivery mode. So we had selected school enrichment program, and these numbers are going to show up when we pull that. And from here, you can, oh, just kidding. You can print it, really cool. You can export it, download a copy, and you can use this for your board reports. You can use this to pull data for any marketing purposes that you may need. It's not just usable at a higher level. You can use it however you need to, as long as you're using it ethically, making sure that you're using it in the correct context. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. And I'm not even going to pull up my PowerPoint because the next slide just says questions. So are there any questions about what we, yes, Nora?
Okay, so I just wanted to tell everyone, so since I was listed as the collaborator, I got an email.
Perfect.
So that is handy if you're thinking about like what your local unit system needs to be, whether it's the program assistants putting it in and the agent's asking you to list as a collaborator. They are going to get that email just to say, hey, it happens. My office professional does it. List me as a collaborator. The one thing that I will caution you is that if you want those numbers to merge into a quarterly report, which I do because I'm the youth development, I'm pulling all the youth development numbers into quarterly reports because my program assistants do not do quarterly reports. Because we have an office professional inputting the data, I cannot auto calculate my quarterly report. If I wanted to auto calculate, I could go in and I could start, like Mackenzie said, you could start your program activities way in advance. I could go in and I could start everyone and just fill in a couple fields to save it, list my office professional or my program assistant as the collaborator, give them the edit capabilities, and then they can go back in and add all the other data. Because if I start it, then I can hit auto calculate into my quarterly reports. I have chosen personally that I don't have the time nor the space on my plate to create them. So what I do is I choose just to carve out the time and I go into the data and just like
Manually calculate,
manually calculate my quarterly report numbers from that data. But I think everyone's going to have to make that choice for themselves. So for me, it's sort of like, I don't want to deal with it until quarterly reports are due. But if you love that auto calculate quarterly report feature, then you as the agent or whoever wants to report those numbers have to put it in on the front end. But I just wanted to say, since you used me as the
Thank
practice
you.
collaborator, I did just get an email on that. And so that is one handy feature of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it's up to your process, your system, how you want to do that for quarterly reports. Okay.
Mackenzie, I have a
Yes,
question.
Jerry. Yes.
Like, so if we do a program like here a couple weeks ago, we did programming for Earth Day activity, which was multiple school districts in the area, but we only, we did like 15 or 20-minute sessions with 500 kids. How do you want us to report that? Is that a school enrichment or is that a day camp? How do we need to report that? Because I think I've probably been reporting that wrong, but I just was curious as to what the proper way to report that.
It's on it at the surface level, it's your call. But since you said it was with school districts and it was a unified effort, you could report that as school enrichment. But also it does sound like it had characteristics of a day camp. Regardless, you're reporting those numbers and that's fantastic. And so if you can like that, that would be a great idea. I'm sorry. Is if you put in the comment, like your reasoning for why you reported it as a day camp instead of school enrichment, that's awesome. But I think the biggest giveaway is you're going into a school, you're going into a private school, whatever, homeschool even, you're going there doing multiple sessions, that would be school enrichment. I think reporting what you explained as a day camp is also acceptable.
Okay. And one more question.
Yeah, sure.
So sometimes I get calls just from schools that want me to come and do one program one time, and just for, 1 or 2 classes at the school. So is that still considered a school enrichment? Even
I
if
would
it's just
consider
one
that.
time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Great questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And I will share with you some resources that I found, like this, how to get in and start that school enrichment process, if that would be helpful for you. I'll put it in Teams somewhere, but are there any other questions?
Mackenzie, I had one.
Yeah.
So kind of back on the session thing when I was asking you how I should be doing them, I think there might have been a misunderstanding
Okay.
how I could have written it. I'm not very good at writing down words. This is why I word vomit on pages. So our school enrichment programs, because obviously we're into Topeka, like we've got at least 6 school districts that I'm seeing. So, however many elementaries and all this. So our school enrichment programs are more like I provide possible activities, supplies and all of this, and then I drop them off at the schools.
Okay.
For the classrooms that have ordered them, and then I pick them up. And rarely do I have any teachers that are like, oh yeah, come in and talk to our students or pop on Zoom and talk to our students.
I received a very similar question a few months ago. I will look for that email because Lori and I had a discussion about that. I think someone else had done that. And I can forward it to you on the best practice for that.
Okay.
Good
I
question.
was gonna say, and just kind of popping across the hall to kind of talk to my agent throughout this meeting, like, because I've been doing PEARS for 2 years now, and I was like, okay, yeah, like that did that. So we were talking, and just she asked if she could be added to our meeting between you and I to kind of talk about stuff more.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Obviously she's new, and it looks like there's a lot of questions we have. So
yeah, of course, not a problem. Best practice for supplying supplies. And yes, I will, Nora. I was just about to say that. Nora said, can you share that scenario's recommendation to all? Totally will. I'll put it in Teams in an email. Okay, there's another chat. I can't see it. Oh, just kidding. I can. Okay. Yeah. I will get that to you hopefully by the end of the week, and share that information, those resources and whatnot. And then always, if you have any questions, email me. I'm best with email. You can Teams me, you can call me, however you want to get a hold of me. We can chat one-on-one, whatever, if you've got any questions. So if there is no other questions, I will let you guys have, hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Oh, Haley said it might be helpful to add. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I will totally do that. To the school enrichment team, I will do that.
I just want to say thank you, Mackenzie. This was very helpful. I
Oh,
was
I'm so
doing a
glad.
lot. I was doing a lot of that, but just to reaffirm that I would think I'm doing
Oh,
it
yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
And also PEARS has a really good and simple resources. Let me, before you guys leave, I will show you. Give me 2 seconds. Where's PEARS? Program activity PEARS. Okay. Move you guys over here. Okay. So right here, this support page on PEARS is super helpful, super easy to navigate, really wonderful, gives you step-by-step with pictures and stuff, with like, for just example, program activities, how to add collaborators, copying, creating one, survey, how to add that, all this stuff. Very, very user-friendly for that. And it goes into like how to pull data, how to plan it, how to track, review, all that fun stuff. So if you want to use those resources, they're totally there for you. Oh yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, Patsy, it is recorded and it will be posted. And then Nancy said, thanks. I am sure I will be in touch with 5 interns arriving for summer programs. Yes. And there's a whole, I don't know how much has been communicated about that. I might not say anything in case Amy hasn't put anything out there, but we have a system. It's gonna be great. Okay. For summer programming. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Wednesday. Email me if you have any questions.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.